Hey, and welcome to our Tuesday live leadership chats. It is great to meet with you today, and particularly really great to have Andy Goodacre with us today. And Andy is the director and leadership coach of Life in Colour, and he is down in a beautiful part of Australia, down in Tassie, which is a magnificent place in Australia. He's been married to Liz. And today we're going to talk around strengths based on the Clifton Strengths and Strengthsfinder and how that works in coaching. CCI have actually had Andy come and coach each of our coaches around strengths and also do some team stuff too. So I just thought it'd be great to have Andy come and share some of his wisdom and insight with us as well. My name's Kylie Butler, and I'm a part of Christian Coaching Institute, which is Australia's leading Christian coaching organisation. We've been coaching and training leaders in coaching for over 10 years. But let's hear from Andy. So Andy, tell us a little bit about you.
Hi, Kylie. Thank you. Thanks for that warm introduction. And hi, everybody who's watching this. So Andy Goodacre, married to Liz. We've got 2 daughters. As you can tell from my accent, I'm not originally from Tasmania, but I grew up in England, and we've been in Australia for about 12 years now, most of that here in Tasmania, in Launceston. I spent most of that last 12 years actually leading an Anglican church here in Launceston. We sort of took that church on when it was very small and fragile, and spent about 10 years being part of God's repotting and replanting and growing that place. And increasingly during that time, I realized what gives me the most life out of everything is seeing humans flourish, seeing humans grow and develop. Had lots of opportunities to do that in different ways at different times. And then over the last last year and a half, we realized it was time for us to actually focus on not leading a church and running a coaching business, but actually to really put all of our eggs into the one basket. It felt like that was what God was asking us to do. So I now focus on coaching leaders full time.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. And you particularly love looking at leaders and Clifton Strengthsfinder. I've got my strengths here. We did this with our team. So, it's easy for me to remember my strengths, my top 5, but I know what strengths-based stuff is, but give us a little bit. What is Strengthsfinder?
Oh, I'd love to. I was just going to say I've got mine here as well, even though I coach it. I've got my little badge right here on my desk as well. Look, it's essentially there's been 50, 60 plus years of research in the field of positive psychology. A lot of that work has been done by Christians, it turns out, which has been fun. And one of the biggest discoveries throughout all of that work was that if people know what it is they do best, and they are able to do that stuff every day, everything gets better. People were 3 times more likely to report having an excellent quality of life, 6 times more likely to be engaged in work, whatever their work might be. So it actually is really, really important that humans know the stuff that they do best so that they can apply that stuff. But the challenge, I don't know how you would find this, Kylie. I know for me, the challenge, if somebody says, Andy, what is it that you do best? What is it that you're really good at? That's really difficult to answer. It's difficult because whether you're a Brit or an Aussie or a Kiwi, we're all fearful of the tall poppy thing. So we don't even like talking about what we're good at. But it's also actually difficult because we're not always sure. If the question was, Kylie, could you write me a list of all the things you don't think you're good at? I reckon you'd be fine. We can write a long old list. But what is it that you're best at? And, whether you're a Christian or not, what is it that you're best at? What is it that God has really particularly called you to do? That is not an easy question to answer by ourselves. The Clifton Strengths Assessment is one of the best ways that I've found to actually help people begin to put language around what is it that I do best, begin to make decisions in their lives, in their leadership, in terms of career, direction, all the rest of it, that actually will give them opportunities to be themselves, to be who God's created them to be, to do the things that they do best, And all the research and, of course, scripture says if we do that, it will go well with us. So that's a bit of a nutshell. Yeah. Bit of an overview.
So, Andy, what are your top 5 and how has it impacted you personally?
Look, my top 5, I have them here written down, although I can tell you them without them, but I will read them now. Number 1 is connectedness, which in a nutshell is the capacity to see invisible connections, to zoom out, to see a big picture, to see how everything is connected to everything else, and to see the world through that lens. Secondly, communication. I love chatting. I also love listening. I love reading. I love writing. I love thinking, how are we communicating? So the thing that I want to say to you is the thing that you hear from me. And it's like communication. Strategic is my third one, which means that I catch myself all the time going, if we do this, then this will happen. If we do this, then this will happen. If we do this, then this will happen. Almost as often as breathing. Empathy is the fourth one, which in a nutshell is the natural capacity to see the world from others' perspectives, to put oneself in somebody else's shoes and feel what they might feel, see the world from their perspective. And my fifth one is activator. That's the let's get going, let's start, we'll figure out the details as we go, but let's move, let's begin, let's start a new thing. So those are my 5 in a nutshell.
Yeah.
And then did you ask me something else?
Yeah. How does it impact you? Like, what's it for you personally?
Oh, it's hard for me now, having been swimming in this water for 5 years or so, to actually stop and go, how is this my strengths? But when I do stop, I see time and again that my unique combination of strengths means that I show up differently to everybody else, and that's good, and it's fun. And the more I do that, the better the contribution is that I make to the world. So if I think about coaching, for example, we're talking coaching here today, I can see that combination of themes of talent, of strengths, actually shapes the way that I coach people. So I will often ask questions that help clients zoom out and see the connections that perhaps they hadn't noticed up to this point. I love, with that communication theme, actually picking up on the key phrases that they have used and speaking them back. And sometimes people will go, it sounds so good, Andy, when you say it. And I think, these are your words. I'm just speaking them back. But there's something fun in that. And so on. I think that activator, I wasn't always conscious that I was like this, but I've come to realize that, I love and I am helpful to others in saying, come on, let's start. Let's get going now. Let's put the first one foot before the other and actually begin to put some of this stuff into action. So those themes actually increasingly give me really useful and helpful tools for coaching, for example. And I could say the same about parenting, being married, leading a church, learning how to grow tomatoes, you name it. These things are useful.
Yeah, absolutely. And so then if I look at mine, my top 2 being achiever and maximizer, for me, I love getting stuff done. Like achieving, the ticking off the list side of things is huge for me, but not just me achieving, but helping others to achieve in that, because that's where the maximizer kicks in. I want to actually see people develop and grow, organizations to develop and grow and kind of maximize to be the best that they could be. So for me, I kind of go, oh, that's why I'm a coach. It kind of makes sense in that space. But
it's really fun. Yeah,
it is really fun. At CCI, we've had that opportunity to have each of our team be coached by you through this, for them to understand what their top 5 strengths are. And then how that is different, to be able to do that as a team and hear each other. And we've noticed, I've got it up here of all of my team, and there's something I kind of go, okay, this is what we need to do as an organization to move this forward. And what do I need? And then I look up and go, so-and-so has that. And it's something that I just go, oh, that's exhausting. I can't believe that. and they jump in and they love it. And I'm like, you serious? You really like this stuff? And they go, yeah, give me more, give me more. I'm like, okay. And it's just brought this life to our team to be able to utilize what people are great at and love. But what have you found kind of working? You work with lots of different individuals and organizations. What have you found, that is really beneficial to leaders and teams?
I mean, I love getting to do this in, church world, faith-based organizations, non-profits, but also in small businesses, in schools, in government departments and organizations. And because I think whether people are followers of Jesus, as we are, or not, or what have you, everybody's made in the image of God. Everybody has really, really good stuff within them. And it actually really helps humans to flourish, but also teams and organizations to flourish. I mean, the people are the most important asset of any organization. So we've actually found that we can help leaders help their teams really perform at a really high level by focusing on the things that each individual does best, as you've just illustrated. I guess there's a great bit of research that Gallup did where they noticed the difference between managers who ignore their employees, managers who focus on the weakness of their employees, and managers who focus on the strengths of their employees. And the difference is vast in terms of how engaged those people are. I mean, I think, active disengagement, I believe from memory, is like 4 in 10 people will be actively disengaged if managers ignore. And that's terrible for an organization.
Yeah.
It drops to about 2 in 10 if the manager focuses on their weakness. So some attention is better than no attention. But if I say, Kylie, you're always late. Kylie, you never do this on time, what have you, you'll be, 2 out of 10 people are still actively disengaged in that environment. Whereas if a manager was to say, I love the way that you achieve, you really helped us to complete those tasks. It was brilliant how you took that quite good project and really maximized it, Kylie. In that world, it's 1 in 100 are actively disengaged. So it's huge. So, and that, of course, that's going to be true in Christian organizations and in church world, but it's actually true wherever humans are found. So we find that once that language is there and team members can communicate to one another, here's how you get the best out of me, here's how you get the worst out of me, here's what I would love to help you with, here's what I'm going to need your help with, and actually really put all of that language in place. It shapes a culture that is really positive and really productive. And so that, over time shifts the needle for whole organizations, which is huge.
That's amazing. And so if someone's kind of interested in Clifton Strengths, where can they go?
Well, Google will tell you a lot of things. We love doing this work. So we work with people all around the world, thanks to COVID and Zoom. But we love doing stuff with leaders, Australia and New Zealand especially. So our site, Life in Colour, that's COLOUR, the good
Aussie version,
Aussie English way of spelling, lifeincolour.com. You can jump on there, you can find our details, you can buy your coaching online if you want to, you can read lots of stuff about how we do this work. We love doing this. There's a small team of us that do this through Life in Colour, and there's a network of folks. We've also been able to train in other organisations around Australia to use this tool as well.
That's awesome. So I just want to encourage you with another tool as a coach. If you're looking for yourself to develop and understand yourself more, and also if you're working with clients and you're wanting to help them to understand themselves more, this might be a tool that you can actually put in your coaching toolkit to be able to develop and grow yourself, your team, your coachees in the strengths-based leadership. So thank you so much, Andy, for coming in today. Really appreciate who you are. We've been able to work with you. Andy is one of our Coach Mastery students. So it's, he's done all of our training. So he's a brilliant coach. So trust him very much in the coaching space. But Andy, thanks for being with us today. Really appreciate your wisdom and insight and all that you have for us.
Thank you, Kylie. It's a pleasure.
All right. See you, everybody. See you next Tuesday at 1 o'clock.